Has it happened to you lately that you struggle to find the right words in the middle of a conversation, that you walk into a room and suddenly forget why you went there, or that reading a simple email feels like trying to decode a foreign language? If you've noticed your mind isn't responding with the same speed as before, you're not alone. And no, you're not losing your abilities. What's happening has a name, it has an explanation, and even though no one told you clearly, it has everything to do with menopause. For years, we've been led to believe that menopause only affects the body: hot flushes, dry skin, insomnia, weight gain. But there's a much quieter and possibly more frustrating side to this process: how it affects our mental sharpness. And we're not just talking about the odd distraction. It's more like a fog that clouds the clarity you once had when solving problems, making decisions, or even holding a conversation without losing your train of thought. The first thing you need to know is that this isn't a sign of early aging, nor is it a sign that something more serious is going on. It's a direct result of the hormonal changes you're going through. Estrogen, that often mentioned but rarely fully understood hormone, doesn't just regulate your menstrual cycle. It also plays a vital role in brain function. It affects neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine, all of which are involved in memory, concentration, and mood. And when that hormone starts to drop, your mind feels it. It's as if your brain is suddenly running on low fuel or trying to work in a noisier, more chaotic environment. It's not that it's not working, it's that it's trying to adjust. And that adjustment can feel like a slowdown. Like the mental energy you used to access without effort now needs to be carefully rationed. Like you used to run, and now you can only walk, and sometimes not even that. The curious thing is, this feeling doesn't always come on its own. It often brings along a whole load of inner doubt. Maybe I'm just not capable anymore. Am I getting clumsy? Am I falling behind? And when those questions start creeping in, judgment soon follows. You start pushing yourself as if nothing were happening, as if everything still depended solely on willpower. And that makes it worse, because now you're not only dealing with a brain in transition, you're also carrying the pressure to keep performing perfectly. And that pressure is heavy. At work, at home, in your relationships. You start to retreat. You say less in meetings because you're afraid of messing up. You avoid new things because you don't feel as quick as you once were. You rely more on notebooks, alarms, post-its, not because you're incapable, but because your confidence has taken a hit. And that's a kind of grief. Because it's not just about forgetting a word, it's about starting to doubt your voice, your presence, your sense of self. What almost no one talks about is that these symptoms also have a deep emotional side, because in our culture, being mentally sharp is tied to how much we're valued. If we think fast, we're useful. If we solve problems, we're worthy. But when that mental agility takes a hit, it feels like part of who we are disappears. And that's when fear sneaks in. Fear of not being enough, fear of becoming a burden, fear of fading, not physically but socially. And this is where the real transformation begins. Because yes, your mind is changing, but that doesn't mean it's fading. It means it's asking for a new way of functioning, slower, more conscious, more in tune with your inner rhythm. And if you manage to listen instead of fight against it, something unexpected emerges, a new kind of intelligence. Not the one that's fast, but the one that's deep. Not the one that remembers instantly, but the one that feels intuitively. A mind that no longer races, but one that sees what used to go unnoticed. Before we continue, something important. In the description of this video, I've left a resource that could really help you through this stage. It's something several women are starting to use and are seeing real changes. If you're curious, have a look later. It might be just what you need. Many women who go through this stage and manage to look beyond the fear discover a completely different kind of clarity. One that isn't about doing more, but about doing things with more intention. Because when your mind slows down, you start to notice things you used to ignore. That conversation you repeated out of habit now feels heavy. That work environment you once tolerated now drains you. That activity you used to do out of obligation now makes you uncomfortable. And it's no coincidence. It's your mind beginning to prioritize what truly nourishes you. What's interesting is that this shift, though uncomfortable, can also feel liberating because it forces you to pause, to ask yourself what you're holding on to out of habit, to check if all those things you do every day really align with who you are now. And questions like that can't be answered with a packed schedule or a completed to-do list. They're answered with space, with silence, with quality time just for yourself. And yes, maybe that means you won't perform the same way you used to in certain areas, but perhaps you don't need to anymore. Perhaps it's time to stop defining yourself by how productive you are and start valuing yourself for your presence, for how you show up, for how you listen, for how you hold yourself even in the midst of mental fog, because there's power in that too, a different kind of power, more human, more real. Now that doesn't mean giving up, it means adapting, and there are practical ways to do it without beating yourself up. For example, instead of forcing yourself to stay hyper-focused for 8 hours straight, you could organize your day into shorter blocks, with proper breaks in between, not the kind of break where you just switch to another task. Real breaks, where you breathe, where you truly disconnect, where your brain gets to reset, even if just for 5 minutes. Another powerful tool is taking a good look at what you're eating. Because yes, food also affects your mental sharpness. A lack of essential fatty acids, B vitamins or magnesium can make things worse. So it's not just emotional, it's also chemical. And it's not about going on some extreme diet. It's about nourishing yourself better. Because a mind fed with care also thinks more clearly. But perhaps the most transformative thing is changing the way you talk to yourself. Stop repeating that you're slow or not good enough. And start saying, I'm in a different rhythm now, and that's okay too. Because that inner voice, if left unchecked, can become your worst enemy. And if you switch it for a more compassionate, gentler one, your brain will feel it, literally. Cortisol levels drop, brain inflammation eases, and gradually your focus comes back. And here's a powerful truth. This stage, with everything it brings, is also an opportunity to reinvent your relationship with your mind. To stop seeing it as a machine that must always perform and start treating it as an ally that needs your care. Because your menopausal mind, even if it doesn't seem like it, is actually looking out for you. It's telling you to slow down, to listen, to choose yourself. Many women, once they reach this point, finally allow themselves to create a space that's just for them. A place where no one's demanding anything, where no one's judging, where you can simply be. And that's where mental clarity begins to return, but in a new way. It's no longer about chasing everything. It's about having the clarity to choose what's truly worth it, what uplifts you, what connects you, what does you good. So if today you're feeling mentally slower, less focused, a bit lost, embrace that feeling without fear. You're not failing. You're stepping into a new phase of your intelligence. One where brilliance isn't about quick responses, but about deep awareness. One where you can let go of the woman who had to do it all and become the woman who genuinely looks after herself. Because that woman, she sees things clearly. And if the world doesn't understand this process, that's okay. You weren't born to please the world. You're here to live your life with authenticity. And menopause, as uncomfortable as it may be, gives you that key. The key to choosing yourself, to listening to yourself, to inhabiting your mind like a temple. A temple that's changing, yes, but one that's still sacred. And in that change, there's power, there's truth, and there's future. Because your mind, even if it feels different now, is still capable of creating, of loving, of dreaming, and that, my love, is never lost. It simply transforms.